Today, they talk about influencers. These are influencers, and they're friends of mine. Jack Posobiec. Where's Jack? Jack, who's done a great job.
All right, Jack Posobiec back live here, Human Events Daily. We're in Phoenix, Arizona. Excited to have on now. First time on the show, but I've known him for quite some time. He is also the host of Media Exposed on Real America's Voice. It's Adam Weiss. What's up, Adam?
Hey, Jack. Thanks for having me. We're getting interrupted by the Trump news cycle, as always, right?
It's always good, but it's part of the business. What can I say? It comes with the territory. Look, you've been tracking the elections. We're looking at all of this. I've been talking about Mamdani a lot. I think one of the things the president should do in terms of a response to this is what he's doing is calling for this end of the filibuster, because you got to be able to respond to this. But I wanted you to unpack it because you understand, obviously, New York, New Jersey very well.
Once he won the primary, which he caught Cuomo and the establishment Dems by surprise, I mean, he had all these young activists. And that's what they do for a living, Jack. It's like most conservatives, Republicans, and business leaders, because business leaders, they're busy in New York City. They go about their daily business. But the DSA, that's part of their life. They're activists. They live and breathe this stuff. So they caught them off guard. They won the primary. Once they won the primary, it was shocked everybody to uncover all of his, activism, his anti-Jewish sentiments, his anti-capitalism sentiments. So once that happened, it's pretty difficult in this environment to beat a Democrat in New York City. Very difficult, because there's a lot of different lines. It's not just one. It's not just Andrew against Mamdani. Mamdani had two lines. He had the DSA line and the Democratic line. Andrew was way below. That made it difficult. And then you had Curtis Sliwa stayed in as a principal matter. So now but at the end of the day, you combine Curtis with Cuomo's tallies, and they almost got the same amount of votes together. So what we saw last night, I wanted to give him the benefit of doubt. He's a young guy. Maybe he's just an activist and said stupid things, is standing next to stupid things. He's always walking around with a smile. But last night was worse than all of his campaigning. He was bitter. He was argumentative. He was bringing up Trump and wanted to fight with Trump. Why do you want to fight with the president of the United States? You just won the mayorship of New York City, our largest city. Reach out, be magnanimous. Say you want to sit down with the other side. You got 50% of New Yorkers that didn't vote for you. It was the biggest turnout in like 55 years, I think. And he sounded like a bitter, angry socialist. So it was sad last night. I thought he'd be more welcoming to the other side.
Well, look, I've said this for a while, and I think that it's very clear that Mamdani, if you go back and look at his politics prior to this year, he has always been someone who's focused on grievance politics. He's got this anti-white sentiment. You mentioned anti-capitalist sentiment, anti-business, anti-affluence. He is very much someone who practices grievance politics and the politics of resentment while tying it, and this is the new form of Marxism, right, where they tie class warfare to ethnic conflicts, to gender conflicts, the rest of that. And that's exactly the type of person you saw on stage last night. And even Van Jones called it out. Even Van Jones said, wow, it really feels like the mask fell off. And I'm like, go look at the guy's Twitter account, because he's been bashing people all day long right up until 2025, when he wanted to run an election and act like all of a sudden he's like Mr. Squeaky Clean. He's never been like this before.
And Van Jones, thanks for telling us that now after we won, right?
Yeah, exactly. Good job.
That's when you notice. I mean, if it wasn't if it wasn't accomplice media, mostly, probably more people would have voted for Cuomo. And Trump's endorsement really helped Cuomo, because Curtis Sliwa is the GOP nominee, and he didn't win one election district, Jack, in all of Staten Island, which is the only borough that is Republican. Some of the districts are hardcore Republican, and Cuomo swamped him in there. So Cuomo didn't even thank, Trump at all. He didn't even thank Musk at all. So, and then Cuomo also never reached out to conservatives. They all backed him, said the world's going to end if we elect Mamdani. But Cuomo never came out for it. And let's end cashless bail. Let's work with ICE. Let's do the things I need to do to reach out the other side. He didn't do that either. So there were a lot of mishaps here that Cuomo did, that he had a better shot at winning the election here. But yeah, there's a lot of things that Hochul's up for election next year, the governor of New York State. So she doesn't want this radical, because New York's, if New York he gets too radical, that's going to hurt her reelection, because Stefanik's going to the GOP minority. I don't know if she's a minority whip, she used to be, but Liz Stefanik, very popular incumbent congressman from upstate New York. She's going to announce very soon her race for governor. And Hochul's going to watch Mamdani. Hopefully she keeps him in check a bit, and the president, so we won't destroy New York.
Well, here's the question then that I guess that I think that I'm looking at. Are we going to see more of this kind of Democrat civil war between the older, you call them moderates, but the older liberals and the younger socialists?
The older liberals, we consider people we can actually have a drink with at the end of the day, right? We can debate during the day, we can debate it, and then at the end of the day, we'll be friends at the bar. This newer generation, they're like invested. You can't even be friends with these people. They're so radical, right? They just they're evil. The fact that they elected a guy that wanted to cause harm and the Democrats have come that far that they want to cause harm to someone, and they elected the attorney general in Virginia. That's how the minds of Democratic voters have been persuaded to even accept violence, right? That's the craziest part of a society. If you told us, Jack, 15 years ago, 20 years, someone said the statements that Jay Jones said, he would have been blown away, even in a Democratic primary. The fact that he can win in 2020 is a sad state of affairs in the Democratic primary in America. The fact that he pulled this off, the Democratic, now he's going to be the attorney general. An attorney general of Virginia with those kind of thoughts. It's so sad. That's going to happen.
Yeah, and in the wake, and I remember, in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder just a couple of weeks ago, all of a sudden we were told it's both sides, it's a both sides issue, and then you have, I think it's 1.3, maybe 1.5 million people in Virginia go and vote for a guy who said that he wants to kill conservative children. I'm supposed to unite with a bunch of people that just voted for that guy? I don't get it. We got a minute left. Adam Weiss, where can people follow you, and where can they get the show?
They can see my show. It's on our app, on our website, Sunday at 6 p.m. Check out Media Exposed. I unpack the media bias every week, and we know there's a lot to unpack constantly, even in the Trump era, because he never stops. So thanks for having me, Jack. Appreciate it.
It's a great show, and you're right. The news never stops. You're right back. Human Events Daily, Real America's Voice.